Good morning everyone, my name is Nycah Linohon and I am here today along with my group mates Mary Joy Aurestila and Kaye Ubal-ubal to discuss with you the psychological foundation in education. So before we proceed to our discussion, let us have first our prayer to be led by Kaye Ubal-ubal.
Okay, let us pray. Our most gracious and lovely Father, we thank you sa mga pagpakamay sa mga kinabuhi, Lord God. Salamat sa mga pag-ubal sa mga pagsukala. Salamat sa kaalam yung mga kinahatag, sa paman sa pag-provide sa mga panginanglanon. Nag-pray man po dito kanimo. Lord God, nga ikaw siya unta maghahatag o kaalam ka na mo as we proceed sa mga lesson karon sa amo nga magatudlo ka maghatag og lagi nga kaalam sa pamasa ang mga classmate nga nagapaminaw inaot nga lagi klapon masabtan ang among itudlo sila kamagabot ka na mo sa matagaran mo niya, Lord God, in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
So before we go on into our discussion, here is the objectives. At the end of this discussion, the students will able to determine the importance of psychological foundation in education, identify and understand the 4 psychological perspective on curriculum.
The psychological foundation of education.
Psychological foundation of education. Psychology came from the Greek word psyche that means soul. It is a study of behavior, mind, and soul. It deals with the study of mental process and that determines a person's behavior and thinking. It is a scientific study of mental functions and behavior including the perception, cognition, behavior, emotion, personality, and interpersonal relationships.
According to Riverman, it is a science that seeks to describe and explain an decision to change the behavior of a man and animals.
So what is the purpose of psychological foundation in education? So the purpose of psychological foundation in education is it presents some principles of psychology that is relevant to teaching and learning. It provides some insights upon understanding the teaching and learning process.
The purpose of psychological foundation of education is it presents an alternative answer to the problem of the bifurcation of general and educational psychology in the curriculum of teachers' preparation. Upon designing a curriculum, a teacher must know how students learn and take into consideration the individual differences.
Education is shaping of behaviors, whereas psychology is the study of how and when to shape these behaviors. So we can say that both psychology and educations are interrelated.
Psychological foundations of education explains the effect of the environment on the child. It studies the child's inborn emotions as they play a vital role in learning and teaching process. So without a proper understanding in psychology, a teacher cannot teach or educate him in the true sense of word. It is so impossible to impart education into children correctly without a proper knowledge about educational psychology. According to Pestalozzi, the aim of education is harmonious and natural progressive development of the pupil. In order for a teacher to fulfill this aim, the teachers must have an insight into the working of the child's mind. As a teacher, it is our duty to have the knowledge and understanding regarding to the child's life, their demands, interests, needs, and learning abilities in order for them to adjust well and enjoy learning. According to Ralph Tyler, he is a well-known scholar in curriculum development. He proposed in 1960s that anything is to be taught in the classroom should be subjected to a psychology screen to establish whether they are congruent with how humans learn. Here are the 4 psychological perspectives on curriculum: behaviorism, cognitism, humanism, and constructivism, that to be discussed by Mary Joy Aurestila and Kaye Ubal-ubal.
I am Kaye Ubal-ubal, so I will going to discuss to you the behaviorism. Behaviorism is one of the psychological perspective. Behaviorism suggests that all behavior is acquired through conditioning and can therefore be observed without consideration of thoughts or feelings. Behaviorism In 1879, Wilhelm Wundt established the first laboratory in Germany dedicated to the scientific study of human thought processes, which is often used as the beginning of modern psychology. Muna siya si Wilhelm Wundt. Wilhelm Maximilian Wundt was a German physiologist, philosopher, and professor known today as one of the father of modern psychology. Wundt who distinguished psychology as a science from philosophy and biology. Siya ang pinakauna na tao. What is behaviorism? Behaviorism is a theory of learning based on the idea that all behaviors are acquired through conditioning, and conditioning occurs through interaction with the environment. In simple terms, according to this school of thought, also known as behavioral psychology, behavior can be studied in a systematic and observable manner regardless of internal mental states. Behavioral theory also says that only observable behavior should be studied, as cognition, emotions, and mood are far too subjective. Behaviorist learning theories first emerged in the late 19th century from the work of Edward Thorndike and Ivan Pavlov. They were popularized during the first half of the 20th century through the work of John B. Watson, Skinner, and others. Behaviorism defines learning as observable behavior change that occurs in response to environmental stimuli. Stimuli is something that excites an organism or part to functional activity. Stimuli sa Bisaya is padani. There are two types of stimuli, na positive stimuli ug napoy negative stimuli. Ang positive stimuli or ginatawag na rewards muna siyang ga-create positive associations between the reward and a given behavior. Ug ang negative stimuli or ginatawag na punishments muna siyang ga-discourage sa behavior associated with those stimuli. Through this process of conditioning, people learn to either repeat or avoid behaviors. History of behaviorism. Behaviorism was formally established with the 1913 publication of John B. Watson's. John B. Watson's classic paper called Psychology as the Behaviorist Views It. It is best summed up by the following quote from Watson, who is often considered the father of behaviorism. There are two types of behaviorism used to describe how behavior is formed. Methodological behaviorism aligns with Watson's ideologies and approach. Radical behaviorism. Radical behaviorism is rooted in the theory that behavior can be understood by looking at one's past and present environment with the reinforcement within it, thereby influencing behavior either positively or negatively. This behavioral approach was created by the psychologists. This school of thought emphasizes behaviors learned causes over its biological one. Therefore, behaviorism deeply value the ability of education to shape individuals. Other schools of thought critique behaviorism for underemphasizing biological and unconscious factors, denying free will, equating humans with animals, and overlooking internal learning processes or types of learning that occur without reinforcement. Behaviorism also influences the sequence and methods used during the teaching and learning process. Teachers work toward their desired objectives by using external stimuli, explaining and demonstrating a skill or behavior, and then inviting students to practice and providing feedback that reinforces the behaviors or skills they wish students to learn or unlearn.
Hi everyone, so I am your next reporter. I am Mary Joy. So we're going to talk about the behaviorist principle applied in teaching and learning. So 1, use a system of rewards to encourage certain behaviors and learning. 2, when learning is factual, material provides immediate and frequent feedback for complex and difficult concepts. Next is provide practice drills and review activities to certain mastery. Next, another one is break down complex into smaller and sub-skills, knowledgeable sub-skills. You have to break down, you have to break through the learning of a student so that they will process it slowly but surely. Next is sequence materials to enhance understanding. For example, you are using materials like blackboard, papers, cartulinas. They are enhancing their understanding to your creativity. Next is model the behavior. Students are to initiate and repeat demonstrations when necessary. So, ang student ga-repeat sa atong kinabuhaton. Like for example, if mga na ang parents na anak, nag-unsa mo dito sa school, but have you done in the school manager? Si teacher makaingon siya na this is one, this that, this is and this that. May nga na siya. Gina-repeat sa student ang ilang natugon sa school sa home. Yeah. Next is reinforce when students demonstrate the model behavior. Another one is state the learning plans desired for the benefit of both teachers and students. Next, establish a contract reward with students on the work to be done and what rewards will be given. So, magkini siya ang pinaka the best, which is establish the rewards for the students because rather they care. Pag good ang imong performance as a student. Tatakan di ba to stars teacher na very good din ang student din English like tanawan ako star like that. Murag mabibo bitaw sila ang fun of learning, so active sila ganun. So next, we have the cognitivism. So cognitivism is a study of psychology that focuses on the mental processes. It includes on how people perceive, think, remember, learn, solve problems, and direct attention to one stimulus than one another. Muna siya cognitivism. So cognitivists felt that it was necessary to learners make sense of what they learn, even though such mental events are difficult to observe and measure objectively. So what is cognition? Cognition is broadly as the act or process of knowing. Yeah. And cognitive is it focuses on the process of involving, enriching, and attempt to show how information is received, assimilated, stored, and recalled. Yes, now we're gonna talk about the information processing approach. This theory proposed by Atkinson and Schifrin on 1968. It has 3 different stages, and that stages are receive, process, and store. So, have you ever wondered how we store memory? Atkinson and Schifrin model, also known as multi-store model, is a model of memory proposed in 1968 by Richard Atkinson and Richard Schifrin. The model states that human memory has 3 separate components: sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. The first component is sensory memory. During every moment of life, sensory information is being taken in by sensory receptors and processed by the nervous system. There are three main types sensory memory. 1, iconic memory that registers through visual stimuli. 2 is echoic memory that registers throughout the auditory system. And 3, haptic memory that registers through touch. Sensory information is stored in sensory memory just long enough to be transferred to short-term memory. The second component is short-term memory. So short-term memory is the capacity for holding a small amount of information in mind in an active, readily available state for the short period of time. When it comes to short-term memory, there are 2 things that keep in mind, and that is duration and capacity. Information kept in short-term memory will be stored for approximately 20 to 30 seconds before it's either forgotten or stored in a long-term memory. When it comes to short-term memory capacity, the magic number seems to be 7 plus or minus 2, and it is also known as channel capacity. So next, the third and last component is long-term memory. So long-term memory refers to the information stored in your brain over an extended period of time. It can store a seemingly unlimited amounts of information almost indefinitely. So that is the sensory concept, the concept of sensory memory. So the sensory energy receives information from various sources, and the brain will only focus on information that has been attended to. So sensory memory is a very short and lasts for a second. It has a very limited space, while long-term memory has an unlimited capacity and unlimited space. And that ends my topic.